Hello, what's up? It's your boy, Big Dave. I just got done watching the AEW pay-per-view, All or Nothing, and it was a good show. If I was going to rate it out of 5 stars, I'd give it a solid 4 out of 5 stars. I have not done a wrestling review in quite some time. This is actually going to be my first video that I've done for a wrestling review. Now, I'm doing it on my back deck, so if the motion sensor lights go out and all that, hey, it's just what it is, man. This is how we do. But I haven't done a wrestling review in quite some time, and the main reason is basically I have not done a review since SmackDown went to Fox. So, getting a little sorry about that, y'all. I haven't done a review since SmackDown went to Fox. It just became too much of a grind, man. It was like Monday Night Raw, and then I haven't done a review since AEW debuted on TNT. Or NXT has debuted on USA. The reviews and the podcast that I was doing, it just kind of took the fun out of watching the show. And honestly, I don't know. The shows have just been piss poor lately, man, on so many levels, especially when it comes to the WWE. But I wanted to do a small review and just having fun, really, for the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, because to me, AEW did it again. They did it again. They always put together a great pay-per-view show, and, you know, me being a wrestling traditionalist, I would say, you know, there's not... there are some things that AEW does that I, don't necessarily care for, but there's such a need for competition that I can overlook some of it. And really, the things that they do that I don't approve of, it's not that big of a deal. And also, as a wrestling fan, I think sometimes we forget that everybody likes different things. So, I may not be a big fan of comedy in my wrestling. There's a place for it here and there, but, I'm not a big fan of, like, comedy acts and just wrestlers being used as comedians all the time. I'm not a big fan of that. But there's a place for it, and there's somebody that likes it. So as long as somebody likes it, who cares, right? But anyway, before I get started on this little show, I notice if I move my hand, that's when we're getting that out of focus. Before I start, I want to send my condolences and my heartfelt wishes to the family of course, I'm sure y'all heard, Shad Gaspar, who passed away in an effort to save his son from drowning, like any father would do. He gave his life to save his sons, and he has passed away at a very young age. Also, we found out that the female wrestler, I want to say her name correctly. I did not follow her work very much, so at all. I'm not going to lie. So don't get too upset with me if I mispronounce. But it's Hana Kimura, 22 years old. From what I understand, a great up and coming wrestler in the business, and she passed away, and it's been reported that it was suicide. And it's also been reported that I guess she was being bullied, cyberbullying, online. And, I just want to take a little short time here to kind of, I just want people to know something, man. You know, us as wrestling fans, we sometimes feel like the wrestlers that we watch on a weekly basis, I guess some of these fans feel as if the wrestlers owe them something, I guess, or I don't know. I don't understand why. I don't understand bullying people on the internet, period. But I really don't understand the wrestling fan that, you know, I can't stand Bill Goldberg as a wrestler, but I'm not going to go out of my way to find his Twitter page or Instagram and just go out and attack the man constantly. I just don't, I don't know, man. I don't understand why people feel that they have I guess they feel that these wrestlers owe them something. They don't owe you anything, man. And you know, it's just like with the whole Shad Gaspard. You know, I seen a comment where, you know, somebody was saying something bad about, you know, just making jokes about the way the man died, and it's like, golly, a man lost his life. A son no longer has a father. I'm pretty sure he was married. You know, she no longer has a husband. What's so funny about that? Why do people feel the need to make jokes about the dead? And for this young lady who was 22 years old, who now has taken her own life because people were being rude and no telling what they were saying to her on the internet, man, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You stupid jackass Mark. What's wrong with you? This is wrestling. This is entertainment. She's playing a character. These people playing characters, man. But they are still real people at the end of the day, you know. They still have families and loved ones. And I just don't get it, man. I don't understand why so many of the wrestling fans feel as if they are owed something by these wrestlers. They're not. So just get that out of the way. Rest in peace to those two, and sending my condolences and all the love to their families. Just sad, man. Just sad. Real sad. On a better note, I told you this light's going to come on and off, so just kind of bear with me. I guess I could, maybe I'll turn around. Hold on. Maybe this will be better. Maybe this will be better. But all in all, when it comes to Double or Nothing, man, a very good pay-per-view. A solid show, and I can't really talk too bad about the show. This was the first one that I said to myself, man, do I really want to drop the money on this show? Because knowing there's no crowd, there's no audience, it kind of takes away from the show. But for some reason, AEW has people in the audience, whether it's backstage talent that's not being used that night, or agents that are, you know, just people in the back. They have people in the crowd, and believe it or not, it makes a difference. At least to me it does. I mean, it seems like it's actually a little bit more of a wrestling show with an audience, even though it's a small audience and it's a kayfabe audience, really, you know. I mean, it's something, you know. And for some reason, the WWE has never... I don't know if it's because AEW did it first, so they don't want to copy. I mean, that's just the ego that I believe Vince McMahon has, is if somebody does something first, he doesn't want to copy it. Or if it's a good idea, he doesn't want to admit it. I don't know. But I'm glad I got the pay-per-view. I'm glad I got to enjoy it. And plus, to me, you know, I want to support them any way I can, just because I feel like there has to be something else out there other than the E. And yes, we've got New Japan, and yes, we have, TNA or Impact or whatever it's called now. But I had this conversation with somebody. For me, AEW just seems like it's always seemed like a bigger deal than TNA did to me, or any of the other United States promotions that tried to run head-to-head or tried to become a big company. I know they say they're not trying to compete with the WWE, but let's be honest, folks, they are competing with the WWE, whether they want to or not. So, AEW to me is the first promotion in years that I looked at as a viable contender. And that's not to knock any other promotion. Just for me personally, I felt like AEW was an actual viable contender and a viable second option. But for me, I watch AEW more than I do Raw and SmackDown, and I watch NXT more than I do Raw and SmackDown. So, take that as you will. But the pre-show, I'm not going to lie, I didn't catch the winner of the match. I think it was Best Friends, but it was Best Friends versus Private Party. This was the buy-in or the pre-show. Good match, nothing wrong with it. Like I said, I'm not here to go into detail with all the matches. I just kind of want to run down and kind of give my thoughts on some of the things. And again, these matches, when I go over them, they may not be in the exact order that they were on the show, but chronic break. Private Party, Best Friends, these guys, two great tag teams. I enjoy watching both of them. Put on a good match. Get you ready for the show. Now, I do believe, and I'm positive, that the first match was the casino ladder match. And I'm not going to go through all the things that happened in this match again. Like I said, if you do not know, this match was basically a Money in the Bank ladder match, where if you rose to the ladder and grabbed the big chip, the poker chip, then you basically get a shot at the World Heavyweight Champion. But the way they did it was different. They started out with two competitors, and every 2 minutes another competitor joined, so in theory, if one of those competitors was to knock out the other guy before the 2 minutes, he could climb up, grab the chip, and the match is over. So that was a little different. And you just knew it was going to be all the competitors in there. But I know it started out with Kazarian and Sky, and their tag team partners. That was kind of interesting. But end of the day, there was a mystery guest. We never really knew who it was. It ended up being Brian Cage, who many people know from Impact, TNA. He did not look as swole as he did in Impact or TNA, but by God, this man is a beast. I mean, he is so jacked up, bro. He is a chiseled in stone type of guy. And from what I've heard other people talk about him off camera, evidently he's a hell of a person, a really nice guy. So he won. This is his debut, and he won the match. So this guy coming in now has a shot at the winner of the Jon Moxley and Brody Lee match for the championship. First match in AEW, he wins, and it just so happens to be for the World Championship opportunity. So it looks as if they're probably going to be pushing Brian Cage pretty tough in AEW, which I understand. He's again, I don't know a lot about him just because I don't follow TNA that much. Never have really. But he looks the part. So we'll see how that goes. But the winner of that match was Brian Cage. This was one of those matches where you know, everybody was just going all out and getting all their shit in, and you know, it was a good quality match. I don't remember which was the next match exactly. I've got it written down. It was MJF versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Now, if y'all are not familiar with AEW or not familiar with these wrestlers, I'm just going to give you a little rundown. MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who to me right now, the #1 heel in professional wrestling. He's an old school heel. He lives the part 24/7. If you go get a picture with MJF, if your kid goes and gets a picture with MJF, your kid may come back crying, because he's going to be a bad guy all the time. He's going to be a heel. And I mean, there's multiple pictures of MJF flipping the bird to some kid as he's doing a photo op, or a guy in a wheelchair, a disabled person. You know, most of those people, you know, they always treat those people very well. Not MJF. He's still a heel, flipping the bird, doesn't care. He's a bad guy. That's his job. He does it very, very well. The future of the business, in my opinion, when you talk about MJF. Also on the other side, a guy that many people may disagree with me, but I look at Jungle Boy, who's the son of the late Luke Perry from 90210 fame. That's his father. This guy, Jungle Boy, a great look. He's a smaller frame individual. He's not a big muscle-bound guy, but I've noticed since the last month or so, it looks like he's actually put on some bulk, put on some muscle, which is great because he's going to need that. And but these guys put on a great match, you know. And I think you're going to see more great matches from these two guys. I mean, MJF is 24 years old. I think Jungle Boy is 22. Correct me if I'm wrong. But for two guys that really are just young and are new to the business, theoretically, you know, I think both of them have, you know, under 5 years in the wrestling business. The upside for these guys are all great. Me personally, I feel like MJF is the best heel in the business right now. Regardless if you look any promotion, and regardless how young he is, or if you like him or not. To me, he's the best heel in the business. There was a move done in this match, though, that almost made me irate. It's a reverse Hurricane Rana on the apron, where Jungle Boy does this to MJF, and he comes backwards, and his head literally smacks the apron, and it's just dangerous, man. I feel like you are putting your whole career at risk for a move like that, and granted, there's no crowd. There's no crowd, man. And you know, some people can say, well, they know what they're doing, and I get that, man, but golly, that is such a dangerous move. And to be doing that just goes to show you the trust they have in each other, and it also, you know, goes to show you how far these people are willing to go to entertain us, the fan. So, but the way he landed, I thought he broke his neck. I thought, that's it. He's done. But he somehow got up and, you know, worked his way back into the match, and ended up winning the match in he got him in a pinning predicament where, you know, all of his weight was on the back of his back, so he was holding his legs, and we lost some lighting in. There we go. So MJF won the match. He is still undefeated in AEW. Has yet to be pinned. I don't know if they will go, MJF pushing for the main title soon, or if they'll try to go against Cody, again. Again, I'm not sure if these are in order. I've got Penelope Ford versus the Statlander chick. Another good match, solid quality match. Nothing wrong with it. Statlander wins. Penelope Ford looked amazing as always, and they had a good match. So Statlander was supposed to be facing Britt Baker, but she was injured on the last Dynamite, Wednesday night Dynamite show, and they said that she'd be back to talk about it next week, how long she's going to be out. You hate to see that, because I believe Britt Baker was just now starting to get some traction, just now starting to get some leverage in her character and momentum going, and looks like she's going to be out for a little bit, so we'll see how long. We also had a match that many people, they were claiming that they didn't know if Dustin Rhodes would show up. Many of y'all know Dustin Rhodes as Goldust in WWE. He had a match with Lance Archer during the TNT tournament, and Lance Archer basically destroyed him, and they were making it out to be that his career was over. So Shawn Spears challenges you to a match. He comes to the ring. They play Dustin's music, and he doesn't come out, and Shawn Spears starts to laugh and says, "Ha ha, I did that, y'all fall for that all the time. Referee, ring the bell, count to 10, raise my hand, he's not showing up." And of course, he does show up, and Dustin Rhodes wins. So far, everybody that I wanted to win in the matches have won. Dustin Rhodes still looks great in the ring, man. And I don't know how old he is, but I know he's had to have wrestled I don't know how many decades now, and he is really, he's like an enigma, because I think he's in better shape now than he was 20 years ago. And he's just such a, it makes you wonder sometimes about Dustin. The Goldust character was great, and it was a revolutionary character, and it really it made him a legend. That's a character no one will ever forget, and it separated him from his father, so he was not his father. But sometimes I wonder if Dustin had maybe, I don't know if he would have stayed in WCW, if that would have helped, but if he would have taken a more of a role like he is now, back when he was the natural Dustin Rhodes, everyone talks about how great he was in the ring and back then, but he never got that push. He was never a champion. He was never the heavyweight champion of the world, and that's a shame, because he deserved that. And it's good to see him in the ring now, because even though he is getting up there in age, some of these guys, when they start, getting towards the end of their career, it's kind of hard to watch them in the ring, because number one, they're a shell of what they used to be, and number two, that these bumps and everything is taking a toll on them, and it's hard to watch that. At least for me it is. But with him, I don't have that feeling. I don't have that feeling like there's an old man in the ring. I feel like it's just Dustin Runnels, and he can compete with anybody and put on a good match with anybody. So I don't know how old he is, but still out there doing it, man. So kudos to you, bro. Way to go. Way Way to be a role model for us old fuckers. Speaking of the roads, I'm going to go into the TNT Championship matchup now. You had Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson in his corner. And you had Lance Archer with Jake the Snake Roberts in his corner. And then this is for the TNT Championship belt. This is the second belt in the men's division, that other than the heavyweight title. Whoever, wins this will be the first TNT champion. Now, and Mike Tyson is, I thought Mike Tyson was going to be more of like a special enforcer, possibly, maybe, because, Arn Anderson, was hyping it up that Mike Tyson had free reign. He could do what he wanted, which, if you're Mike Tyson, you can do whatever you want, anyway. But, brought out the TNT title. A lot of people have been dissing the way the belt looks. I personally don't have a problem with the way it looks. The TNT title reminds me of the old NWA television title, which makes sense. But there was comments on the show, even Jim Ross said, evidently whoever designed the belt, whoever made the belt, their company has been making ventilators and things like that. So they weren't able to finish the belt. So there's still going to be gold and nickel and plating and things added to this title that they haven't put on it yet. So that'll be cool to see. But I really didn't have a big problem with the way the belt looked. And some people did. Some people were not happy with the way the belt looked. I wish the TNT on it was a little bit smaller. But it's like right in the front of the belt. Big letters, TNT. I don't know if that was I don't know if that was the station TNT themselves saying, "Hey, make sure you can see it," or what. But Cody versus Lance Archer, and this was another great match. Good match, solid. Lance Archer, I remember him in Japan, and he looked good in Japan. But I think he looks more dominant and more of a. I think he's a better wrestler now. I think he just looks cool. He looks mean. A big guy, 6'8", like 270, 280, and he's gotten a lot better from when I remember first seeing him in wrestling. So they put on a great match. Lance Archer hit his finishing move right from the jump. Cody hit his finishing move twice near the end of the match, and it took two of his finishers to pin Lance Archer. He did pin Lance Archer. At one point, Arn Anderson and Jake both got ejected, and Jake went to the back to go get his snake, and when he comes out with the bag holding his snake, Mike Tyson jumps up, takes his shirt off, and runs Jake the Snake off. Mike Tyson looked in great shape, by the way. But I thought they would do more with Mike. I thought Mike might throw a punch on somebody, but he didn't. He didn't really do much. He just came out with the belt, sat down at ringside, and ran Jake off, handed Cody the belt, raised his hand, and then Mike Tyson walked off. Like Mike Tyson just acted like, all right, I'm done, ready to go home, get my payday. Which I guess you can't blame him for real, but I was really wanting to see Mike Tyson throw a punch on somebody, but he didn't. He didn't, unless I missed it. I don't know, but he didn't hit nobody. So that was kind of a letdown. But I was glad to see Cody win. Cody deserves the title. It's and like I said, I don't know if they'll go MJF Cody again for the TNT title. Maybe they're holding that off for later, but they could do a Cody Lance Archer run again. That could be another match. They could have 2 or 3 matches and make a great story out of it. So, guys, put on a good show. We have the AEW Women's title. What's her name? Sheeta, the little girl Sheeta, versus Nyla Rose. I think you pronounce her name Akura Sheeta. I've not been a fan of Nyla Rose, and it's not for the reasons that you're thinking. I just really didn't see what the fuss was about in ring. But after watching her for the past few weeks and things, you know, she's better in the ring than Nia Jax. So, I mean, there's that. Like, she's actually not, I don't think she's as dangerous as some of the other beastly women in the wrestling business. She did not win this match. And Hikaru Shida and her put on a good match. But Shida won, and I was very happy about that because I think she's a great wrestler. Also, I don't know if the death of Hana Kimura had anything to do with her winning the belt. Probably not, but it just seemed like they've been pushing Shida very to the top here lately. You know, I think she's gone on a big win streak, and I was just glad to see her win. I was glad to see someone take the belt off of Nyla, because Nyla doesn't need the title. You know, she's a beast. She's a beast out there. So, like, she's an attraction. She doesn't need the title to get her over. But, like I said, after watching this match, I've gained a little bit more respect for Nyla, and a little bit more respect for her in-ring capabilities. So it was a good match. The first of the two main events, I thought this would be the end, but I understand why it wasn't. The AEW Men's Championship match, Jon Moxley. As you can see, I've got my exclusive Jon Moxley shirt on tonight. Jon Moxley versus Brody Lee. You know, here's two guys that were in the WWE. Brody Lee was never utilized properly. An excellent talent. He was never utilized properly. And in a way, you can even say the same for Jon Moxley, who was Dean Ambrose in WWE. You know, they did give him a short run with the title in the WWE, but it was just even then, it just didn't seem like a big deal. It just didn't seem like they really had a lot. I just don't feel like they had a lot invested in Dean Ambrose. And what's crazy, when the Shield first debuted, I thought Dean had the most potential out of all three. And I guess it turned to find out, you know, the powers that be, they were definitely more into Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins than they were Dean Ambrose. So, I'm happy for Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose, whatever you want to call him. I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for Brody Lee that you take two guys who were underutilized in one company, and you bring them down to AEW from up north. You bring them down to Florida, and they're putting on a great match, a great heavyweight title match. Could have went either way. There was, you know, a few spots that were, you know, really intense. There was a backdrop off of the stairs onto the ring announcer's table or whatever, you know. And then I'm at a loss for words what they're calling Ambrose's DDT right now, but he went for a double hook DDT on the outside of the ramp, and they actually went through the ramp, through the wood of the flooring there. Dean Ambrose ends up getting him in the ring, putting him in a chokehold. He can't respond. They call the match. Jon Moxley wins, retains his title. And I like how, even though Brody Lee lost, he didn't get pinned, he didn't submit, you know, he was just put to sleep by a chokehold after being slammed, you know, through the ramp and through the ring announcer's table. So, he still looks strong, and he can still push and be a big monster heel for this company for years to come. I wouldn't mind seeing Moxley and Brody Lee go at it again. Wouldn't have a problem with that. Now, the main event was the Inner Circle versus the Elite inside. It was a Stadium Stampede match, the first ever. All 10 men. They're actually at Jacksonville Jaguars football stadium. There's a ring set inside of right on the 50-yard line. You could go anywhere in the stadium. The pinfalls could be anywhere in the stadium. This was a fun match. You know, I would love to see that atmosphere again with a crowd. I just think that would be awesome. But, you know, with no crowd, you're able to do certain things. You're able to pre-record. And, you know, because of that, Matt Hardy, who was on the team of the Elite, you know, there was a point where Santana Ortiz throws him into a pool. And he comes out and he's version 1 Matt Hardy, you know, and, you know, all these different versions of Matt Hardy throughout the years. You know, you couldn't have done that live. You know, it had to be pre-recorded so he could change into a new gimmick. And, it was a good match, man. I mean, it was fun. There was a part where Hangman Page and Sammy Hagar are at the bar of the stadium, and they have a drink, and then they start fighting, and they're busting bottles over Hagar's head, and Jake Hager. They're slamming these bottles of booze over his head, and he wasn't selling. He was just kind of standing there like staggering around, you know. But they broke like 6 bottles of champagne and bubbly all over his head. So Sammy Guevara and I believe it was Nick or Matt Jackson, I can't remember which one it was, he was doing a suplex on him from one end zone all the way to the other end zone. Just, you know, it was a fun match. It was fun. There's nothing wrong with this stuff occasionally. Even though, like I said, I am a traditionalist, it is what it is. You have to adapt when your situation is like we have right now with the COVID and nobody can be in the stands. You have to adapt and overcome, and they did that. The finish of the match was great. Kenny Omega was in the stands, in the seats, and hit the one-wing angel, jumping off like where the ramp was, like one of the ramps, and probably a good, I don't know, 10-foot drop onto, he hit the one-wing angel onto Sammy for the win. End of the show, you know, you see all the Elite all together, fireworks going off in the background of the stadium, fade to black. Feel good moment, feel good ending. And yeah, I mean, somebody had mentioned to me, you know, all the faces won except, you know, MJF winning. It was just a feel good pay-per-view, man, and it's something we needed right now in the hard, shitty times that's been going on. So again, I'm not, you know, I didn't want to go into a real big detail of the show or anything. I just want to kind of run down what happened, my thoughts, and like I said, there's some things that happen in AEW that I'm not a real big fan of. I think I totally missed the Orange Cassidy match. Well, no, he was in the ladder match, but yeah, good show. 4 out of 5. I don't think I've ever gotten an AEW pay-per-view and at the end of it said, man, I wasted my money. And like I said, this was the one time that I was kind of like, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about this. I don't know if I want to spend the money. But again, I said to myself, well, I want to support this company because I just want, I'm a wrestling fan and competition is good, and the WWE pretty much sucks right now, man. Like, it's so freaking bad. And it's something I never thought I'd say, but WWE right now is not the top wrestling promotion in my opinion. And I don't know what they're going to have to do to turn things around, but they've got to do something, because really and truly, AEW puts on a better show consistently. They don't have as many pay-per-views. Now, I think they only have like maybe 4 pay-per-views a year. Maybe a few, I don't know, maybe more. But, you can go month to month with a pay-per-view, and I still think that they would put on better shows. So, but basically, like I said, that's it. A good show. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I'm not sure if I'll do another review anytime soon, or but I am going to try and do some more. I'm going to try to do some more video podcasts, or whatever you want to call them, just little shows. They're not all going to be about wrestling, but this is kind of just me starting. And I like the premise of being out on the deck, like out in the backyard, instead of cooped up. It's not the most professional setup, I know, but I've always said it's not about the equipment you have, but how you use the equipment you have in any situation. And so yeah, thanks again. If you guys are cool with this and want to see more, let me know. Comment, subscribe to the channel. It's Big Dave's Wrestling Review right now, but that name may change. And subscribe, hit the bell icon, that way whenever I do drop anything, you guys will know about it first. Alright, so thanks again. Everybody have a great Memorial Day weekend. Please be safe out there, and spend time with your friends, family, and loved ones, because I guess here in Kentucky we're able to do that now. So enjoy it while it lasts, because who knows when the next wave will hit and we'll all be stuck in the house again and won't be able to see anybody for months. But that is AEW Double or Nothing 2020, my review. And you guys have yourself a wonderful night and a great Memorial Day weekend. It's your boy Big Dave, and I'm out.